Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And not a day goes by without a dose of Dismal Disney. Dismal Disney news, guys. We're going to go to Forbes. They're saying, this is Forbes, financial site, saying it's no surprise that Disney's stock has hit a 9-year low. Here's why.
Yeah, now
Here's why.
they kind of like allude that it's Iger's fault in a couple places. But most of the time, they're like going out of their way to try to blame Iger. For example, the one part in the story, they were talking about the Genie Plus and how everybody hates the Genie Plus and all that. And then they're like, yeah, here it says Iger wasn't even Disney's CEO when they were launched.
Doesn't matter.
They were introduced to the world by Josh D'Amaro.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Yes, Josh D'Amaro was the one who launched it in 2021, but Iger and company were the ones who developed it and announced it in 2019. So I'm sorry, that was just a sticking point for me. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. We'll go through this article. We're going to talk about Disney's stock. It is still not good. It's still in an overall downward trend, and I cannot wait to see where it's going to be at the end of the fiscal year, because they got nothing. Disney's really got nothing. We've talked about this before. There's they're trying to make some announcements now about the parks, which you sat out on that video. You were busy, but their announcements are like non-announcements. Like, hey, everybody, we have a new Moana attraction. It's a water fountain.
Well, they're going to do in Disneyland. We're going to do a gift shop from Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion gift shop.
An Avatar experience, but it's not going. We're not telling you what it is. It's probably going to be a ride.
It's probably a photo op or something.
Because they don't have time, or the money or
the mech suit or something. Disney World
something like that to put into it. Then they said that they were going to be doing the things they announced last year were all like meet and greets. Like, hey, we're going to have a Mandalorian meet and greet, which they did. Yep. We're going to have Encanto meet and greet, which they're going to be opening soon. Figment meet and greet, which are opening soon. It was all just cheap, yes, inexpensive. They already have the area for it, meet and greets. Now, I'm expecting with this destination D23, we're going to get some kind of actual announcements, because they got so much shit last time when they basically just, gave that kind of stuff and said they were the big announcements. And here's some blue sky possibilities that we might do. Dinoland USA at Animal Kingdom, yes, has been torn down. Other than like the dinosaur attraction, it's mostly kind of just like sitting there now. Yeah. So they need to do something with that. So I'm expecting they're going to announce, like they said before, about Moana and Zootopia for those areas. So here's the thing about that. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But first, please subscribe for more. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Subscribe.
I forgot.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys.
Please subscribe and cover my butt for forgetting.
You'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo!
Go to piratesandprincesses.net for more objective Disney news. There's more objective Disney news.
Or try.
But no, since we're talking about Disney and we're talking about Dinoland, Dinoland was the result of Disney cheaping out back
in the first place.
Yeah, in the first place. It was done on the cheap. They made it look like a cheap carnival because they didn't want to invest in, big budget attractions. So they were off the shelf carny rides. They were, and the Primeval World was dangerous. People actually died on that damn thing.
Sucks to ride.
And it is it's a carny attraction. But they were like, oh, it's the theming. We want to make it look like a cheap roadside attraction. Ha ha ha. Wink wink. Nudge nudge.
It's because we ran out of money, and
we ran out of money. So what I'm afraid of is that Disney is going to return to that. What we're seeing in them cheaping out, the attractions, like I think Splash Mountain is going to be a prime example. It's going to be mostly screens.
Probably. Now, I don't know what they're going to do if they're cheap it up, but by the art they had presented before, it looked like Zootopia was part of it, and then Moana was part of it. Now, for Zootopia, it has like the train station. It looks like they took the dinosaur building, and it would be where the placement is. And they're going to probably get rid of dinosaur and make it, if they would do Zootopia, make it the train station by the original art they showed last year. Don't know if they're still going to do that.
I hope that is not the case. I love dinosaur. It is.
Well, if they get rid of Dinoland USA, they're going to get rid of dinosaur. They're going to retheme it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's going to have to go along with it. Restaurantosaurus will be something else.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a cheap area, but Dinosaur is one of my favorite Disney attractions. I mean, it really is.
It's like such a carny, terrible area, but my favorite attraction's there. So
Dinosaur, like leave Dinosaur or
you can't just leave Dinosaur if it's sitting in the middle. There's nothing else.
You can just make a very tiny Dino
I don't know what
Land.
they're going to do with Boneyard. with the boneyard, 'cause that's a huge area and it's very popular.
This is where all the Zootopia animals go to die. You're playing with their carcasses. It's all the roadkill from the
Zootopia Cemetery.
Zootopia Cemetery.
That's a haunted attraction. So, anyway, they were making announcements. So this time they're going to have to make some actual announcements. We might get something concrete about Figment and a reimagining of that or something. That drove me nuts because the person's like, well, it was Tomorrow who gushed and said it was going to prove it, and he's the one that rolled it out. Yes, technically, he is the one that rolled it out, but he wasn't even the chairman of Parks and Experiences then when it was announced. So,
he was in charge of Disney World.
He was at Disneyland first, and he was at Disney World.
Yeah.
And then they sent him back to Disneyland again, I think, before he was chairman of Experiences. But he, at the time that was announced, that was an Iger or Chapek thing.
The weird thing is Josh D'Amaro is like the only bright spot in the Disney parks right now. Like, if you were going to put one person in charge and give him the complete control and flexibility to do what needed to be done, he actually has the mindset of Imagineering. He actually would do right, I think, by the parks. I like Josh D'Amaro a lot, but his hands are tied.
I think he would do right by cast members.
Yeah.
Like, he was one wanting to try to expand cast member services and stuff like that before, the pandemic hit. He was making announcements they were going to do stuff to help the cast members and give them more, better break areas and all that. And then pandemic hit, and I don't know if that ever happened. So
yeah, I hope he doesn't. I guess my thing is, like, I hope Josh D'Amaro, when they have good people like him, I don't want him getting thrown under the wheels of the bus, because we need more people like Josh D'Amaro. But we saw what happened with John Lasseter. Lasseter was another one that got gone, and he was pretty much the heart and soul of Pixar. And now look where it's at. So
I don't know.
That's if they even keep the parks, because they're talking, well, they should just split the parks off from Disney and lease out the characters.
Them out like they do with, overseas, which I don't know. Anyway, so
Forbes is coming out now doing multiple articles talking about Disney stock hitting a 9-year low. This one, here's how its performance compares. And they actually go into it and they said, no, it's actually doing worse than its peers. But this is the one where they basically back up everything we've been saying. Other people have been saying it too, but it's so weird. Everybody was like, you guys, you're just Disney haters. You're just a bunch of dirty naysayers. Now it's
it gets
trendy.
me as people try to argue with us about stuff. And it's some of the people that try to argue us, or people that just showed up to talk about Disney because it gets them hits. We've been covering Disney for, oh my gosh, we were covering it before we even had the blog. So we've been covering Disney since 2014, 2015?
Yeah, because we had a podcast first.
Right.
So that was 2014.
We've been covering Disney for like 9 years. And we were fans. We were always up to date on the park comings and goings before that. So we've had, a decade plus, working around this to know what the hell's going on. And we were like, oh, we remember when, because everyone's like, oh, it's Chapek. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's Iger. And I can tell you why. And I was the one that brought up like the Genie Plus was him. Because unless you knew about that, you wouldn't know where to look to find the information. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. So over the past few years, dark clouds have gathered over two of Disney's biggest cash cows, theme parks and Marvel Studios. They're not.
Oh, and Star Wars.
And Pixar.
And
everything. I don't think there is a bright spot in Disney right now, because they're like, well, at least we've got the parks. But no, wait.
The overseas parks are doing well. And like Shanghai.
One's not run by Disney.
Yeah, and Shanghai's getting a bunch of new stuff. They're getting like a Rapunzel area and a Peter Pan area. Even though it's the lost children,
kids, the lost kids.
Yeah, and
the
then
missing kids on the milk carton.
Zootopia area and all this other stuff. So,
oh my God. During the peak summer season this year, social media was awash with reports of how quiet it was at Disney World in Florida. There was so much chatter that CNBC asked Disney's chief executive officer, Bob Iger, about the low crowds. He claimed that they were due to the high temperatures.
But that Florida gets hot all the time. We've been down there in Florida in August, September, and it was like ridiculously hot. We've been down there in the middle of summer, and it was still crowded, and it was ridiculously hot. So that's bullshit.
Well, then it's because people hate gay people, and gay people like Disney, so all the bigots are staying away. Next question, please.
That's right. Because it's DeSantis.
It's DeSantis. He's so stinky. Nobody wants to come to his stinky state. It wasn't a one-off, as earlier this month Disney announced that decreases in occupied room nights and attendance It did announce that at its Orlando outpost during a third quarter 2023, it was partly responsible for a reduction in operating income across the entire domestic park operations. Things have never been better, guys.
But here's the thing, though. I have been on the booking thing, and you'll try to book a room, and they're saying that the stuff's down, right? And you'll put in for dates, and there wouldn't be many rooms available. Or they'd be like the really expensive ones, or, like the really cheap ones, but like there wasn't a whole lot of rooms available. So if they had all this availability and it was driving the prices down, they weren't like, it's weird because when you go to look for a room, you weren't finding all kinds of options. So like they're not having all the rooms open.
I don't know.
To try to make it look like, I better book this expensive one because it's not the only option I have.
They do that. They actually do. And I've talked with travel agents before. They actually do. Because I've noticed that, like, when we go to the hotel sometimes, it's like, hey, it doesn't seem like every room is full, especially the ones that are, kind of the enclosed deluxe hotels or whatever. Like, you walk down a hall and it's like, I don't think anybody's in this room. I don't think anybody's here. The doors are open in this hall. Like, what's going on? And it's like, no, I think they create false demand. We got to charge $700 a night now because it's better to get $700 a night for one room than to, sell a bunch of rooms at discount.
Wow. They're still having to sell at discount. So,
Yeah, but now they got, right. So the lack of business at Marvel Studios is equally noticeable.
Yeah, Man the Wasp didn't do well. Half of this was, So so they're actually smart. This is Forbes, the financial site. They're saying, they made $476 million, but half of it was retained by theaters. All this person does is take everything that YouTubers like us have been talking about and just regurgitates it back with some incorrect information mixed in.
Yeah, it has substandard visual effects. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a critical score of 46%. Ouch, I still didn't see it.
Secret Invasion, now to be fair, Secret Invasion was just 7% Rotten Tomatoes. That was actually just one of the episodes got that 7%. I mean, it wasn't great, but... That just one of the episodes got 7%. It wasn't like overall, I don't believe.
Secret Invasion, no expense was spared. It was $211 million. No expense was spared except for that title sequence where we used AI art. And also for the really cheap special effects, no expense was spared. Oh my God. Marvel didn't see the writing on the wall because as the world began to come out of lockdown, it was commissioning a glut of costly streaming shows.
I would argue the same thing happened with animation. Not just at Disney, just across the board.
I think so. I think that's why we're seeing so many people get laid off in animation right now. Yeah, they said, Disney was riding high. It was $203.
Right. But now's the time to strike.
Now's the time to strike when they're like, oh, shit, we're running out of money.
If they would have done this like back in 2020, they would have gotten like pretty much everything they wanted. And then some, because they needed them so because, oh my God, we need to do all these shows.
Yeah, but this is like, hey, dad just got laid off. Let's ask for a puppy and a trip to Disney World. That's what this is kind of like. Like, hey, we're losing money here, guys. We can't do this. The bloated pipeline puts more pressure on visual effects teams to increase the chance that the end result may not be top notch.
Which it hasn't been top notch.
And they're going on strike too.
They're not striking. They're trying to unionize. So that's why we have Marvel VFX workers and Walt Disney Pictures VFX workers both trying to join IATSE right now. I don't blame them. They really should.
This is funny because they're like, okay, so the theme parks and Marvel wouldn't be a problem. But Disney Plus, if it were profitable, but it's been a loss maker since it launched in 2019. So basically, we're like, okay, these two things, even like Disney has many legs. It is a many-legged table. And pretty much every leg underneath the Mickey Mouse table has been kicked out from underneath.
Seems like it. You like put more legs on the table so it can't get kicked out, but they somehow managed to get all their legs kicked out. Now, they mentioned the platform isn't expected to be in the black until 2024.
That's not going to happen.
But again... It probably won't. But again, that 2024 date was the date that was given when they announced they announced the Disney Plus streaming service when it launched. Bob Iger did say 2024 since the beginning.
Somebody is going to ask him that during the investor call, the next investor call.
If you're listening, make sure someone asks him this during the investor call.
Somebody needs to ask, hey, Bob, or new CFO person, whatever the hell your name is. Hey, are you still looking at 2024 as being the year that...
The end of 2024.
The end of 20... So you have a year. So a year from now, you're telling us still that Disney Plus is going to be profitable. And I guarantee you he's going to sidestep... Because of macroeconomic circumstances and the downturn in the streaming space and because of the decreased ad revenue and the recession that's not really here and a possible pandemic 2.0, we can't make any guarantees. about anything. Next question. But Disney Magic.
But we're going to spend $17 billion.
So Iger cut a bunch of jobs.
Yes. And then now they have to pay for Comcast or the Comcast for Hulu next year, early next year, January, February.
But it's almost all about Marvel being bad. Why is Star Wars getting off so easy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because Star Wars has been, sucking the shit too.
Well, I think that's it. I think everybody expects Star Wars to suck shit. They didn't expect Marvel.
They didn't mention Pixar either.
No, like why are these two getting off? It's all of it. It's not just Marvel. I think they're shocked because Marvel was the golden child. Marvel was a straight A student. So if we're going to go with that analogy, we could say, they don't expect much. They expect a lot more from their son Tony than they do their daughter Rey.
There you go.
They expect Rey to drop out, probably get knocked up.
Well, Rey's a girl, so we just have to, the Force is female, so they get a pass.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what it kind of looks like.
Even though they talk about Echo and Ironheart and how they're basically like they're going to do B-list series.
Nobody wants.
And then they're like, they scrapped other shows and got write-offs, but they're going to keep running with these ones.
Nobody wants any of these shows.
Blah, blah, blah. Marvel sucks. We know. It tells us about how, okay, great. Started out great. Oh, yeah, they're pillars. It started out great. It did really well. And then it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened.
Declining returns, right?
Okay, everybody knows this. They're talking about their new superheroes. Okay, Shang-Chi.
Diverse. They're diverse.
It's all diverse. Shang-Chi did okay. Eternals did terrible. Ms. Marvel did terrible.
Okay, so they mentioned Star Wars once. They said it forgot that a lot of the hype around the original Star Wars trilogy was fueled by fans having to wait years for the next installment.
Truth.
The same was true with the original Marvel movies, but now there are so many that even devoted fans struggle to keep up with them.
Again, true.
And they have shows in between it. But it's the same with Star Wars, too. Like, you just keep beating that. Why is Star Wars getting off? It's the same.
You just keep beating that. Why is Star Wars getting off? That's what you said.
Just get it over with already, okay?
Yeah,
the fans are sleeping through it.
They're not mentioning Star Wars. They're not mentioning Pixar. Pixar, they're like, Elemental did okay. They did like 400 and some million after being in the theater for a while. Okay, that sounds great.
Which they have to split.
Except their budget just for the movie is over 200 million.
Yeah.
Then if a $400 million movie, you have to split like 200 million for the theaters. Where's the rest of the money? And now there's a rumor, which is not on here, but there's a rumor now they're going to do Elementals, just like shorts or a TV show on Disney Plus. And I'm like, that thing was so expensive because of all the effects. So now you're going to do a spin-off show? And with what money?
Doesn't make sense. Oh my God. They're talking about the housekeeping being dropped at Disney World.
They're talking about how you have to pay magic bands now.
You have to pay for magic bands. God, they're just like going.
I want to point out the magic bands and all that. That was also under Iger.
That was under Iger. Annual passes going up.
That they raised the big price on that under Iger.
So they're basically saying all of these massive F-ups have contributed to their stock dropping. Because investors are looking at this like people are getting pissed off at Disney on every front. Mm-hmm. Theme parks, Marvel, live action movies.
A lot of these price hikes, though, they said the cost of air tickets, hotel rooms, food, merchandise, and as inflation climbed record levels at U.S. Disney. They're talking about Disneyland California increased 44% to 179 over 5 years to 2022. Right, 5 years from 2022 is 2017. Guess who was in charge?
Yeah. Trump. Oh, you mean, okay.
Yeah.
You mean Bob Iger. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're talking about the Genie Plus, they're talking before the pandemic and blah, 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 blah. It goes on. My God.
It just drags.
They get paid by the word or what?
They're like, Josh D'Amaro, and he's just like, no, it wasn't his fault. Oh, and then Iger, came in and then he made parking free again. It's like he's the one who made it paid to begin with.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like Iger is coming back to fix his screw ups. Like, can he give Fox back? That was like some of the single biggest screw ups in the history of entertainment. There was nothing that Fox had that was worth that much money.
No.
Nothing that they had.
They're talking about how the trams are coming back for Epcot and what's it? I think Epcot and Hollywood. I can't remember. Their trams are coming back for called parks, and it's like, this is how cheap Disney is. They have not been bringing the trams back till now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only reason Disney is walking any of this stuff back is because they're seeing their attendance decline. If they could get away with it, it would be a permanent thing.
Like the park reservation system, we dropped to Disney, dropped from Disney World and all that. Park reservation system came about in 2020 after the pandemic. It was Bob Chapek in charge, but Bob Iger was still overseeing him at that point in time. So that was a joint one on that one.
A joint. Oh my God. Yeah. So a lot of the pandemic stuff, which was supposedly put in place for safety measures, actually became more of a monetization because they bragged about how we could control the flow of guests now with the reservation system.
And the Genie Plus. It was supposed to be free, but if you want to actually do anything, you have to pay. But this is what's interesting. This last bit is what's interesting. It's everything that we've been talking about. Instead of slashing some jobs, Disney should perhaps have scrapped Marvel's upcoming shows based on lesser known characters. What? Clearly a white supremacist incel misogynist.
Man, baby, beardo, MAGA-hatted.
It's a woman. Pause its interconnected storytelling and drop Lightning Lane Genie Plus from its parks. That's crazy talk. It's almost like, the YouTubers everybody's been vilifying were right. That they should the cost of Marvel's world building batters to the bottom line. There's a lot of things they should do, and we've all mentioned it many, many times. There's things they should have been doing, but they wouldn't listen. Here's an idea. When people tell you they don't like something, when it's not working, when your films are coming out to theaters and they're doing worse and worse each outing, people are really, really not liking characters, and they don't do well in the comics, they don't do well in a game, you don't make a show, and then you don't put them as the main character in the movie. It's just, it's stupidity after stupidity after stupidity. They're so, like with the Elementals, if it's true about making a show, you're so desperate to make it stick, which means you probably want to put the IP in the park somewhere, that you're just going to throw good money after bad.
Yep.
Instead of changing course because you don't want to admit you're wrong or, a narrative.
Yeah, Well, this last line, right? Feige and DeMauro have championed these outdated models, and Iger's relying on their input for investors. The buck should stop with them.
Feige and DeMauro.
What?
Again, Caroline, you said you've been doing this for 15 years, but you didn't know that it wasn't DeMauro for the Genie Plus? That's what you're mad about. DeMauro, the thing you mentioned about DeMauro was Genie Plus. That wasn't Josh DeMauro.
So I have questions. Why is Kathleen Kennedy being excluded from this conversation?
Why is Kathleen Kennedy still there? If you're talking about what Disney could do if they had to slash jobs, here's an idea. Why did they fire Kennedy years ago when they could have saved it?
Lucasfilm is in such a state right now that they dumped Willow after, a couple of months? Because it made more money for Disney to dump it and take it as a write-down than it did to keep it on the platform. It was that much of a failure. Everything Star Wars has been diminishing returns, more so than Marvel in a lot of cases.
But actually, Marvel's overdoing it, and then they're coming up with crappy VFX because they're overworking their people. They're not paying for stuff. They had Alonzo in there making dumbass decisions. You have the writer from She-Hulk bragging about how she, bullies Feige.
Yeah, they're bragging. Yeah. So how come, I just want to know why, again, Feige and DeMauro are dudes. Who's in charge of Pixar and Walt Disney Animation now? Oh,
a woman.
Yeah.
But they're doing shit too. Lightyear, Strange World.
Yeah. Now they did fire the director of Lightyear, I guess, but still.
Yeah, way after the fact.
Yeah.
Like way after the fact. Like I'm like, why then? That didn't make sense. Like it made sense that they would have done it after it happened, but they waited like a whole year later.
So to show you how this is going down, right? Or is this about being solely about Victoria Alonso? Because they dumped her ass, and I think the shit was rolling downhill because Alonso, I think, was whispering into Feige's ear, and then he was just kind of going with whatever the hell she was saying. He should put his foot down, but he's probably afraid to. He was afraid to. So they got rid of her, and they got rid of the diversity and inclusion officer too. So they are getting rid of some of the right people at Disney. But let's single out Feige and DeMauro, who are probably taking their marching orders from Iger, because Iger's probably like, churn out as much content as you can. Need more Marvel.
Genie Plus prices is because they were hemorrhaging money in every other department. They were trying to gouge it back from other places. I'm sure it was the order of the day. I'm not saying Josh DeMauro is the bestest thing ever and he never makes mistakes. I'm not saying, he even says, in an interview, he even said, oh yeah, we make mistakes all the time. He even said that, okay? What I'm saying is blaming Genie Plus on him was absolutely stupid and misleading because it was not his fault. He did not implement the stupidity that is Genie Plus.
Yeah, this is just, it's a series of really bad decisions. And Iger was the one who started chasing the whales. Iger was the one who wanted to pivot Disney into becoming a luxury resort.
He's the one that kept jacking up all the prices to ridiculous levels.
Took the parking away. Yeah, that was all Iger. That was all Iger.
But no, it's DeMauro and Feige, and that's all about them. Not Kathleen Kennedy's fault.
Nope.
Not Bob Iger's fault.
Nope.
Not no.
Nope.
Not stupidity over at Marvel for greenlighting shows like She-Hulk. Nope. No, it's just
Yeah, and like I said, DeMauro, I don't think he's perfect, but if anybody is actually, if he were actually given the chance and the resources and the freedom to turn the parks around, I think he could do it. But he's not going to be given the resources, and he might wind up being a fall guy, which I
don't think anybody can get the resources because they don't have them.
No, can't get blood out of a rock, right? We're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.